Something is wrong.
Hold on to us, always.
Another one of these letters.
I will not let them scare us away.
Tell your husband, no more rubbish.
I went there once. What if it was our daughter?
No! No, 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 no!
The episode begins with an unsettling tension that you can feel right from the very first moment. There is no calm, no slow build-up. Everything feels like it is already in motion, like the characters are running towards something they cannot escape. And at the center of it all, we have Jamie and Claire, who once again find themselves caught between the past and a terrifying present. As they begin searching for answers about a tragedy that has haunted them for years, you can see that this is not just about finding the truth anymore. It is about facing something they have both tried to bury deep inside. And the way this storyline unfolds is what makes this episode feel so intense, because every clue they uncover only makes things more painful, more complicated, and more dangerous. Jamie, in particular, feels different in this episode. There is a weight on him that we have not seen in a long time. His instincts are telling him that something is wrong, and this feeling keeps growing stronger as the episode progresses. It is not just fear, it is something deeper, almost like he already knows that whatever is coming will change everything. And Claire can feel it too. The connection between them becomes even more important here, because even without words, they both understand that they are stepping into something they might not be able to come back from. At the same time, the episode slowly starts connecting this emotional journey to the larger chaos building around them. The peace that once existed is clearly gone. There are whispers of conflict, signs of betrayal, and a growing sense that no one is truly safe anymore. And what makes this even more terrifying is that the danger is not coming from just one place. It feels like everything is closing in at once. Old enemies, new threats, and even the consequences of past decisions that are now returning in the worst possible way. But what truly makes this part of the episode stand out is how it blends emotional depth with suspense. You are not just watching events unfold. You are feeling the pressure building with every scene. Every conversation feels important. Every reaction feels like it could lead to something bigger. And just when you think you understand where things are going, the episode shifts again, pulling you deeper into the mystery. And then there is that moment, the one that changes everything. Without warning, something happens that completely alters the direction of the story. It is shocking, emotional, and leaves you with more questions than answers. And from that point on, the episode no longer feels like a search for truth, it feels like a race against time. Because now, it is not just about what happened in the past. It is about what is about to happen next. As the episode moves forward, the tension only continues to rise, and now the focus slowly shifts toward Fraser's Ridge, where something feels deeply unstable beneath the surface. What was once a place of hope and survival now feels like it is sitting on the edge of collapse. The aftermath of past decisions is still echoing through the community, and every character seems to be carrying a different kind of fear. Nothing feels secure anymore, and that uncertainty becomes the driving force of everything that follows. Jamie's earlier choices begin to show their consequences in subtle but dangerous ways. The people around him may have accepted peace on the surface, but underneath, there is resentment, fear, and mistrust. Even though he tried to act with mercy and fairness, it is clear that not everyone sees his decisions as justice. Some see weakness and others see opportunity. And that is what makes this situation so dangerous, because when authority starts to look uncertain, people begin to move in ways that cannot be controlled. At the same time, Claire becomes more involved in trying to understand the deeper meaning behind the tragedy they are investigating. But the more she uncovers, the more disturbing everything becomes. It is almost as if the past itself is refusing to stay buried. Every detail she learns connects to something bigger, something that has been building for a long time without anyone realizing it. And now those hidden connections are starting to surface in ways that cannot be ignored anymore. Meanwhile, outside forces continue to grow stronger. Allies are not as reliable as they once seemed, and enemies are no longer easy to identify. The lines between friend and foe begin to blur, creating a constant sense of paranoia. Every conversation feels like it could hide a hidden agenda. Every agreement feels temporary, like it could break at any second. This is what makes the episode so intense, because the danger is not always visible, but it is always present. And just when things seem like they might settle, a new development shakes everything again. A message, a rumor, or a sudden realization spreads through the characters, creating immediate panic and confusion. People begin to react before they fully understand the situation, and that reaction alone is enough to create chaos. It is not just the event itself that causes problems, it is the way everyone responds to it. Jamie once again finds himself forced into a position where every choice carries consequences far beyond what he can control. And Claire, standing beside him, realizes that this is no longer just about survival. It is about protecting something that is already slipping away. And in the background of all this chaos, one thing becomes painfully clear. Whatever is coming next is not going to be something they can simply recover from. As the episode continues to unfold, the story begins to take an even darker and more emotional turn, shifting its focus toward relationships that are now under extreme pressure. What once felt stable between certain characters is now being tested in the harshest way possible, and every interaction feels like it is carrying unspoken fear underneath it. Trust, once easy and natural, now feels fragile, like it could break with even the smallest misunderstanding. One of the most intense emotional threads in this section comes from the growing uncertainty within the younger characters and their connections. Feelings that were once hidden are now coming to the surface, but instead of bringing comfort, they are creating confusion and emotional conflict. There is a constant struggle between what the heart wants and what reality allows, and this inner conflict makes every decision feel heavier than before. Nothing is simple anymore, and even love feels dangerous in a world like this. At the same time, the episode continues to build pressure through the consequences of earlier actions. Things that were done in the past are no longer staying in the past. They are returning in unexpected ways, forcing characters to face outcomes they never prepared for. This creates a powerful sense of inevitability, like everything has already been set in motion, and now no one has the power to stop it. That feeling of being trapped by destiny adds a chilling layer to the story. Claire, in particular, becomes more emotionally involved as she starts connecting not just facts but people, emotions, and history together. She begins to realize that what they are dealing with is not just a single tragedy, it is part of a much larger chain of events. And the more she understands, the more she realizes how deeply everything is connected to their own lives. This realization shakes her, because it means the danger is not distant anymore. It is personal. Meanwhile, Jamie is forced to make decisions that carry emotional weight as well as strategic importance. He is no longer just protecting land or people. He is trying to protect meaning, identity, and everything he has built with Claire. But the problem is that every choice seems to come with a cost. And sometimes that cost is something he cannot afford to lose. This internal struggle makes him more vulnerable, even if he tries not to show it. Elsewhere, tensions between different characters continue to rise, especially as misunderstandings begin to turn into real conflict. Words are being taken the wrong way, intentions are being questioned, and alliances are becoming weaker with every passing moment. It feels like a slow breakdown of unity, where everyone is slowly drifting into their own corner, unsure of who to trust anymore. And just when it feels like the emotional pressure cannot increase any further, the episode delivers another shocking turn. Something that completely changes the emotional direction of the story. It is not just about what happens but about what it reveals. Hidden truths begin to surface, and with them comes a wave of realization that nothing has been as clear as it once seemed. From this point on, everything becomes even more unstable, and the sense of control completely starts to fade. At this point in the episode, everything begins to spiral into a much more dangerous direction, and the tension that has been building finally starts to break through the surface in a way that feels unavoidable. The story shifts into a phase where consequences are no longer just emotional. They become physical, immediate, and far more destructive than anyone expected. What was once hidden now starts to reveal itself in the most painful way possible, and every character is forced to react under pressure. The situation surrounding Fergus and Marzali becomes one of the most alarming developments. What starts as growing public tension quickly turns into something far more threatening, as anger within the community begins to reach a breaking point. It is no longer just suspicion or fear, it is active hostility. And in moments like this, even the smallest misunderstanding can turn into a life-changing disaster. The safety of their home, their business, and even their family begins to feel uncertain, as if everything they built is now standing on unstable ground. And as chaos spreads, the emotional weight on Jamie and Claire grows even heavier. They are not just dealing with one crisis anymore. They are being pulled into multiple directions at once. Every new piece of information adds another layer of stress, and instead of bringing clarity, it only deepens the confusion. Jamie, in particular, starts to feel the pressure of responsibility more intensely, as if every decision he made in the past is now coming back to demand a price. Claire, on the other hand, becomes more determined to uncover the truth, but the truth itself feels more dangerous than ever before. What she is discovering is not just about events, it is about consequences that stretch far beyond what she expected. And the more she learns, the more she realizes that there may be no simple way to fix what is already in motion. This realization adds a quiet but powerful fear to her character, because for the first time, knowledge does not feel like power. It feels like burden. Meanwhile, relationships between other key characters begin to fracture under emotional and psychological pressure. Miscommunication turns into mistrust, and mistrust slowly begins to turn into conflict. People who once stood on the same side now find themselves questioning each other's intentions. And in a world where survival depends on unity, this breakdown becomes extremely dangerous. It is not just about external threats anymore, it is about internal collapse. And then comes one of the most shocking emotional turns of the episode, where loyalty and betrayal begin to blur in a way that leaves everyone unsettled. A decision is made or a truth is revealed that completely changes how certain characters see each other. It is not loud or explosive, but it is devastating in its impact. Because once trust is broken in this world, it is almost impossible to rebuild. From this moment onward, the episode feels like it is moving towards something irreversible. The calm is gone, the balance is broken, and all that remains is uncertainty about what will fall apart next, and who will not survive the fallout. By the end of this section, one thing becomes very clear: there is no turning back. The path has been set, the decisions have been made, and the characters are now moving toward a moment that will define everything. And even though we know what is coming, the way the teaser builds this journey makes it feel more intense, more emotional, and more real than ever before. As the teaser moves forward, the emotional weight becomes almost overwhelming, and this is where everything starts to feel truly real. The tension is no longer just building. It is now settling into every moment. You can feel that the story has crossed a line, and from this point onward, there is no escape from what is coming. The atmosphere grows even heavier, and there is a deep sense of sorrow slowly taking over. It is no longer just about fear or confusion. It is about acceptance of a painful reality. One of the most powerful aspects of this part is how the reactions of the people begin to change. The crowd, which once followed Jesus with hope and curiosity, now feels distant and uncertain. There is a shift in energy, almost as if the same people who once believed in him are now being influenced by something else. This change is very subtle, but it carries a strong emotional impact. It shows how quickly people can turn when fear and pressure take control. And that makes the situation even more heartbreaking, because it is not just the authorities. It is the world around him that is starting to change. At the same time, the teaser begins to highlight the internal struggles of key characters in a much deeper way. You can sense guilt, regret, and emotional pain building inside them. Especially in moments that hint at betrayal and its consequences, there is a strong feeling that some choices cannot be undone. This adds another layer of tension because it reminds us that the story is not only about what is happening to Jesus, it is also about the choices people make around him.